want to welcome everybody, and I want to thank Juan Fernandez, DP, Swiss Army knife of all things camera and lighting, and the guy that's going to get it done every time, no matter where it is in the planet.
Thank
Juan.
you. I would like to thank all my sponsors that I don't have. So thank you. Maybe they'll come one day. You know, I'm here. Just signed up. Call me. Like,
I'm waiting for all the sponsorship. Come get me.
I'm available, bro. You know, just let me know. Knock at the door. You know, I got a nice ring bell.
One of the reasons we are changing the format of this podcast is because I'm like, look, I got to get people like Juan on here.
Yeah. I can tell you something. At the minute that I saw that you were doing a podcast, I was like, I hope he calls, you know.
Well, this will be the first.
I love it. You know,
this will be the incarnation of like me and you becoming like, you know, we'll start doing it as a couple. Like we'll start doing it like a Johnny Carson, Ed McMahon.
Didn't we talk about this a long time ago?
We did.
I don't know if we had to. We were like a little bit too deep into something, but I think we did talk about it with another partner of crime, right?
Yeah, we were talking when we were doing that we were doing that independent film I was trying to do, where we were kind of where I brought everybody in and we were doing the mockumentary of a survival show, and it was on that.
Yeah. What happened? You know?
I'll tell you what happened. As a bad producer, I didn't get everybody to sign a release, and the lead got mad, and he never so I couldn't release it. I was thinking of releasing it and blurring his face and blurring his stuff and just being like, yeah, well, here's part of the film. Like, I just
I always said that even, you know, away from the job that we did and how fun it was like a boys' weekend out. You know?
Absolutely.
The excuse to just travel to LA to hang out. Like, they were asking me, so what is it that you're doing over there? I was like, oh, we're making a movie. We're making a movie. We're gonna do it.
I still love the concept, and I still think it was a great concept of shooting the behind the scenes of a Survivor show, like in a lockup style, but still shooting the reality show as its own.
It somehow, you know, I don't know how many years it might need to come out. You know, it might be a cult film. You know,
there's parts of that thing that I still can't stop laughing at. I mean, the part where we pretend one of the guys died and we're shooting a cold open.
One of my favorite parts that I actually was thinking about it last night. You know, it was when one of the other producers, I don't know if I can say names, you know, but one of the other producers say like, we should do this at nighttime, you know? And I was like, oh, we should do day for night, you know? And also, I changed the camera to like, change the color temperature, and I put a lot of ND, and it was like, boom, nighttime, bro.
Perfect. It was like, I couldn't believe it immediately looked like he was in like green infrared in this. I'm like, oh my God, it was, but you know, again, at the time and with the people, to explain a little bit, you know, obviously at the time when Survivor shows were out, not everybody would have been happy seeing a lot of that stuff that we had shown in comedy. But nowadays, I think we could probably get it past more. But let me ask you this, that leads me up to a couple of things, and we'll get back into your past in a minute. But that thing that we did there was one of the most fun I ever had. Like, I laughed from beginning to end. What's one of your favorite shows that you ever worked on, just based on how much fun it was?
I would say that, so getting into the whole reality TV world, you know, with you as an AC, I remember that the first time that I actually got the opportunity to do like something surviving, like the action, the traveling, the Survivor shows. So it was with you and a show called Man, Woman, Wild.
That's right.
You know,
Mexico.
I was an AC. Actually, I was talking about that show today. I got to talk to my school, the film school that I went to here in Orlando, Valencia Community College. and it was the last day for the film class of 2024, 2025, and they invite me to talk to a student. So they're asking me like, "Hey, how do you get these jobs and all this and that?" And I literally said to the to all the students, I was like, "Well, let me tell you something. I did this show called Man, Woman, Wow in Mexico, and then the line producer called me. I was working for a company called Adrenaline Films, but the line producer called me and said, "Hey man, I remember this conversation by the palm of my hand, bro. Hey man, you did mediocre, but I need somebody to travel the world and have fun. So you want to come into all these countries with me?" And I say, "Hell yeah, bro, just let's do it. Let's go have fun." And we end up going to a lot of different countries.
Yeah. Oh,
I would
I
say that
remember. Do you remember Africa
yes.
when you came into my tent that night and you were like, "Yo, there's a hippo in camp. I'm stalking him." I'm like, "I don't think you're stalking him. I think he's stalking us."
So after further review with other people that have gone to Africa and they have had taken the pill that we were taking for malaria, they told me that they had a lot of vivid dreams with that pill. So I would say that I spent a night in my tent with my face down and a knife in my hand. And I was just thinking about like how this hippo was gonna come inside my tent and eat me alive, And the only thing I could do was stop his eyes or something like that. Because I was like so scared I was so scared to move or like lift my face or anything like that because I just kept hearing this doom, 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 doom. And then I was just scared, man. I was pissing my pants, if I can say that. And
That
then the next
Malarone is
morning,
no joke, man. That thing is that's just no joke.
the next morning, I come out, and that's when I went to your tent because I remember learning from one of the guys in Africa, um, that he told me that, oh, when you see a line track of grass and it's just like a parallel line like this, that's a hippo because they walk with the two legs close to each other. And I kept going outside, and I'm like, oh, bro, look at that. That was there. Oh yeah, that was there. I was there. No, yeah. It was one of those times, man, that yeah,
Oh,
vivid
I got
dreams.
it.
I don't know if it was real or what.
That was the only time. There was two things on that. It was the only time that I ever felt like they got put back into the food chain. But do you remember that guy? People still don't really even believe when I'm telling the story about like the size of this thing. But you remember the one day we go out and it's like across the horizon, it's literally not making this up, 15, 20 feet high, and it
Yes,
goes for miles. And it's turns out it's beehives. It's like all
yes.
the bees. And you remember this guy goes, we're all sitting in the Jeep. He goes, "Hey, anybody want some fresh honey?" And we're all like, we didn't know what he was going to do. We're like, yeah. He ran over, he punched it, he grabbed the honey, and he's running with this thing of bees behind him. And even the other locals, the other Africans are like, "What are you doing, you idiot?" And somebody yelled at him. He goes, "No honey for you tomorrow morning."
I remember sitting down in the table, and when they say fresh honey, I thought it was gonna be like the honey ready to pour or something like that. No, it was the beehive. Squeezing it to her toes. And by the way, that was the time that I fall in love with banana bread.
Is that when you came up and we were about to have that big serious meeting? And I
Yep.
don't know if it was about weather or something. And I remember I had to get this information over to you, and you came walking up, and somebody had came over to like serve some like food or whatever, and you just just left everything me and Doug were talking about. You went, "Ooh, banana bread." We were like talking about like a storm front coming in and real stuff, and gone. Juan was gone for the banana bread.
Uh I never been diagnosed with anything, but I said that my mind always goes somewhere, and very proactive. And when I saw that banana bread after being there, you know, I was part of the food chain, but I also was I was
Not
attacking anything
anymore.
that came my way, man.
Didn't one of those shoots? Didn't you come out of I-2 Talkie in first class?
Yes, you were
I
so
just
pissed. You
remembered
were
that.
like, You're like, somebody's gonna get fired about
I
this,
was
man.
like,
What the hell is happening?
me and the EP were in middle seats in the back, and you and everybody else got
Yeah,
first class tickets. I'm like,
yeah.
somebody's getting
Man,
fired.
I remember I was like first class. This is my first time in first class, man. I'm gonna drink and eat the whole plane, bro. You
Do you
know?
know what I remember the most about
Yeah.
that? You offered yours up.
Yes,
You
I did.
did, and I literally said, "I don't. It doesn't matter. Doug isn't. Not me. Not Doug. Nobody's going to take it because, as you said, nobody's ever done it. You were the crew coming out, so it was like, there's no way we're going to switch that out. Like, you do it, we'll figure it out back here.
I loved it. That was one
Forgot
of my
about
first
that.
time ever
That
on
was
first
right.
class, man.
I forgot about that.
You
That
know?
was out of that airport we woke up in, and all those chickens were just walking around.
Yes.
God.
Yeah, that was another funny story that night. You know, I still got pictures of that.
Oof.
I have pictures of that night. We all sitting down outside and all the chickens outside crawling on us because we got there very, very early in the
Yeah.
AM and the plane didn't got there until 9 o'clock the next morning. So
Yeah. Yeah, we were like there for like 6 hours or something in the dark. You're like just lying. And again, no inside of an airport. It's all like an outside
all outside.
park. Yeah. And it's just, and all of a sudden, all these chickens start walking up and in.
Or luggage, no bathroom, no nothing.
Nothing. Oh,
It was beautiful.
that was a fun one. We also had some booze with us. I think we had a bottle with us, so we were able to pass it. How important do you think that camaraderie or that bonding is on those travel shoots in order for you guys to keep working at a high level to get that content?
You know, I remember some of our medics that we used to use as special forces medics. Remember, they always said that we look like an army unit. You know, they will always say like, you guys are like a military unit. You know, you guys have a purpose. You guys go do it, and you guys make sure you all return home to safe.
One of the things, like, we always talk about ourselves in reality television, and I've been equating it for a very long time to like roadies of the 70s, right? Like, we go in, we set up, we party, everybody does their work, we get it done, break it down, move to the next town. But there is also, like, every time we're in one of these places, and a lot of times just based on needing to hire security or who we have to work with as fixers, we come in contact with a lot of special forces, military guys, and you are correct. We do get equated to them quite often.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
They love the discipline that a film crew can have.
yeah,
You know, when it's
yeah,
well organized and how everybody has a job and how everybody does the best that they can in their job, you know. But if they can or something's wrong, they make sure like they relay the message so the things can be done, by another person, and the job can get done and everybody's coming back home safe
yeah.
to our
It was
families and
always
everything.
That's the
Yeah.
one thing that I was always proud of is everybody came home safe.
Yes.
And even when I was doing like the Naked and Afraids and everything else like that, that was my bar. Like, just make sure everybody's coming home safe. It's just, it is important to do your job. It is important to get that content. Everybody's riding on it. It is part of your responsibility. But also just having that feeling amongst yourselves, like, look, it is also TV. Let's just make sure
Yeah.
everybody's safe.
Yeah.
Because as you know, you get out there and sometimes you get with some people, and even with us sometimes, like, you get into the right night after you're finished working, and
Hmm.
it just goes one
Yeah.
bottle after the next. And you're like, I hope we have bail in this country.
Hey, by the way, this is our green tea. All right.
Oh, that's okay. Well, I'm just drinking water.
All right. No, because I know he looks like watery whiskey, but
Oh,
no.
you do. Oh, I gotta be honest, and it wasn't anything I was trying to do, but about, I don't know, about 6, 7 years ago, I just didn't, because I guess I stopped traveling as much. I don't drink as much. I really found that the more I was out and doing it, as you talk about it, it's like it
Yeah.
becomes part of that social contract of
Yes.
all of us being out. And also because you don't want to sit by yourself in some of these hotel rooms that we end up in. If you're going to the most remote parts of the planet, there's not a lot of amenities that come along with those areas. So
Yeah, no.
getting out just to get into the common room and drink a beer is just to get out of a room filled with bugs a lot of times as well. Like, it's just like, I can't sit
Feel
there.
with that conjunctivitis, man. He's like, oh man, come on, bro. Going back to Africa, do you remember that time that I had a very, very extreme allergic reaction to something in the environment in
Yeah,
Africa
your
that
eye
my
was
eyes
hanging
were
out of your
bad? Yeah. And then you told the medic, hey man, can you check out Juan? And then he goes like, and then you ask him like, is he okay? He's like, yeah, I just numb his eyes. And you're like, why will you do that? Dude, I spent like 2-3 hours, my eyes numb. I couldn't even open them.
I remember just thinking to myself, ones are like backup camera. He's got to like set all these things. We mean just numbed his eyes. We're shooting, so you just killed us. What are you doing?
I just needed allergy medicine, man, and he numbed my eyes, man. But
That
it's
place,
so funny.
I still say I don't think people fully understand until you go in. And that was one of, I think, the benefits of doing what we did was being immersed with some of these people and being a part of their lifestyle, even
Yeah.
for a brief moment. That one gentleman that we were with out there, Ronnie Kraus, he's got that YouTube video where he actually has to kill a lion charging him. And it literally, he hits it between the eyes and it still hits his knee, nearly breaks his knee. That's how close it was. Well, like it died in midair and hit him.
It was compared to like a grizzly bear, charging
Yeah.
you and attacking you right away. Yep.
Every movie has stolen
Hmm.
that shot, like Star Wars and everything, where somebody kills something at the last minute and it just falls at their feet. Literally on YouTube, you can watch this guy, and this thing literally hits him in the leg as he
Yeah.
does it. And when he was just sitting around, like, where else are you going to be able to sit around that campfire and listen to him tell you that story live? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that I remember that campfire very well. That was my first time experiencing bats, and they're all flying over my head, and I'm just thinking like, oh my god, I'm gonna get rabies out of this, bro. Yeah.
I I'll never forget when there was a time out there where they that him and that Clint this the
Clint.
yeah the Rhodesian guy, the Wenwi,
Yeah,
um
Rhodesian. Yeah.
yeah, he they wanted to go hunting doves because they made that dinner like all those dove breasts. So it's the three
Mm-hmm.
of us, and they hand me the little pellet gun thing, and they're like, hit that dove in the tree. I've never shot a gun. I've never done it. So I'm trying to like do everything I've seen on TV. Like I'm trying to like I'm pretending I'm in Mission Impossible, like I'm breathing with it and stuff. And then one of the guys, and like these are two like African hunters, and you're trying to impress them. And the one guy turns and goes, "What are you hoping it dies of old age?"
When they showed that big old elephant gun,
Do you
that
remember
thing
that thing?
that thing was scary. I thought
I
that was
forgot
a
about that.
cartoon, like a cartoon gun. I never
Yeah,
seen a gun like that.
that bullet was just
Yeah,
nuts.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What in
But
all, we just talked about a couple of things there. I remember, Africa was a ton of fun, but it also was probably I didn't love any of the food or any of the meals. Like everything was a little rough. Even when we did
no,
that
no.
wildebeest stew, it was like
I love
it
that
was
Wildebeest. That was the best thing ever, man. I know
it's
everybody. I
so
I know
rich.
everybody end up. I know everybody end up having a stomach issue, but I was fine.
There was
I was
you were
like,
the
I was
only
built for
one.
this.
Yeah, we were all out in the bushes for like the next 2 days, like, and you were like, "Ooh, can I have some more?"
I grew up. My father's from Dominican Republic, man, and I grew up eating anything that he put in his mouth, man. I had to eat it, bro. So
What do you look back on out there as one of your most memorable meals or favorite meals?
this country is in my heart, and I always say I want to die there, you know. And it's Croatia,
Oh, wow.
Croatia, Croatia. The food, the family style, everything fresh. You're eating from the garden of somebody. Like if you have olive in your table, it's coming from the tree in front of the where you're eating. You know, even the rapa, which is the first drink that they give you, is the house I say wine, but it's not wine. It's like a mix of something. It's kind of like a dry sake if you don't compare it to. It's family. It's family made. So every restaurant has its own drink, and they give you that to clear your palate, so you can taste their food. So that for me is one of the places, because it was a mix of Mediterranean food with Croatian food, kind of like I don't want to say Serbian, but Croats and all that Eastern European thing.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know why. Maybe in my past life I was from that area, but it's just I fell in love with that country, and one of my the best years that I had in the industry, which I love it too. It was I got to work with Chef Michael Simon from he was one of the chef from what was that Japanese show,
Master Chef.
no,
T-
Kitchen Nightmares? No,
oh,
not
Kitchen
Kitchen Nightmares.
Nightmares.
No, no,
Okay.
no, no. He was a Japanese
Iron Chef.
Iron Chef.
Yep.
Yes, he was the one, the bald guy with the little thing here that he always went against Bobby Flay because they're very good friends. So I got to work on his show called Burgers, Brews, and Q. You know,
Oh,
and we travel the whole United States. What, man? Come on,
how
drinking
much?
beer, burgers, and barbecue. Pfft, oh, come on.
What was the one of all of those dishes? Because you got to try a bunch of them, right?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
do you
Oh yeah.
remember being your favorite one that you tried?
One, it was, I don't remember, I don't recall the name of it, but it was in Dallas, Texas. And it was I think he was a French guy who started doing barbecue. And his barbecue was an upscale barbecue restaurant. And I remember that I always had to do the B-roll and the slow-mo shots of all the pit master thing.
The
And
food porn.
yeah, yeah. And he said the mise en place, how they call them, for fancy word for ingredients, which I was like, what is that? Mise en place? What? I
What?
can,
You gonna give me some
yeah.
applause?
No,
What?
just say the ingredients, man. That's it. All respect to the cooking people. And I remember him, like, he just literally said, "You want to taste this?" I was like, "Yo, it's a pork shoulder." Puerto Ricans, man, pork shoulders and Puerto Rican. When we're born, they put a pork shoulder behind our back. That's how we do it, man. Pork shoulder is the best thing ever. We call it pernil. And man, at the minute I took a bite of that thing, it was like I was going back home. I was going back home, and it's one thing that, like, there's a movie called the movie Ratatouille, when the guy tasted and he goes back home, that his memory goes, you know. I was just like that, and I couldn't believe that, like, I'm tasting this beautiful thing from this French dude that has this barbecue restaurant, and he's just making the best thing ever.
Oh,
And it's just passion, bro. That's it.
that's so much fun.
That the word passion come from, I say passion all the time because or a good friend Punch,
Oh, I
he
got
always
it.
says, like,
I
"What,
just
Tito, why you?"
did you just see the Facebook picture of him dressed up? He's in
Yes.
Saudi Arabia, isn't he?
Yeah, going Habibi.
I'm like, he's gonna have problems getting back into the country
Oh
with
yeah,
that Facebook
yeah,
update.
yeah. So he always said, like, so he's always like, Tito, what you don't scream, you just passion. You're talking with passion.
You have a style that is not fueled by it doesn't look like you're using passion. You're experiencing the passion, you're
Yes.
not showing the passion, which a lot of people will use that excuse. Oh, I'm passionate because they're amped up or they're loud or they're whatever. You're very much the opposite. The more passionate you are, the quieter you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
you know
unless we're drinking, in which case,
oh yeah, you can get, so like, the thing is, I absorb everything, and I have something like my dad. We in this podcast, I'm super happy. I'm very excited, man. Trust me, I'm loving this, and because I always had a love for radio, and this is the new radio type of deal,
yeah,
Let me not say that too much because radio people might get offended, but
yeah.
this is a new thing, and I'm keeping a smile at the time, but most of the time I'm serious, and it's not like I'm serious. It's just I have a resting face, and I look angry all the time, but I'm not. I'm very happy inside my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
And
I
and I
never
always tell
see you
people,
as angry. No.
no, and I, but I have that thing that I consume everything that I experience.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah. In
and
the
until
best way. You know what I mean? There's
Mhm.
other people that can consume it and not process it correctly.
Exactly.
I've been guilty of that even at times, but you have a genuine I mean, I think even Ponch, the guy that we were just talking about, would say the same thing. You have a genuine love of things, and that
Yeah,
wins. And that general curiosity, that always wins with you. And that's something that most people don't allow that to win in themselves. So I love it.
yeah.
It's always been my favorite
Thank you,
thing to have around. You
thank you,
know,
thank you. And and it's just I would say I just like to have a good time.
you're the cure for set cancer. Like when I have somebody on set that's just one of those negative people that just everything is like, I can't stand these types of donuts. Oh, I can't. It's just everything's negative. You're the cure for that. You're the person
Thank
we
you.
put on set to be like, oh, banana donuts. This is awesome. And
You
everybody's
know,
like, yeah, you know what? Banana donuts are pretty awesome. You're right.
and, and again, it comes from my mother and dad, especially my father, who's always told me that I have anxiety. I had anxiety since I was younger, but I don't show it. But my dad knows me very well, and my mom used to love me, know me really, really, really well. And my dad always told me something straight up. He's like, "Why were you thinking so much? Stop thinking." And I'm like, "No, I got this thing." He's like, "Dude, stop. Go to bed." And I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Because you know what? You wasting the time on thinking. Go rest, and you will see how when you wake up in the morning, everything's gonna have a solution." You know. So I always say, when I'm on set, it's my peaceful time. When
Nice.
I'm on set, it's my temple. You know,
Nice.
set for me, it's like I don't want any issues. I don't want any problems. I don't want any discussions. I want to do my job, have fun with people, and go back to my house.
Nice.
And it's my temple. At the minute that little piece gets destroyed, it's like I don't need to be here. You know, and that's why that you want to like collaborate with people that have the same mentality as you.
Yeah.
That's when you find your group, your niche of people that you love. It's the one that you just want to like keep coming, keep going, keep coming, keep going. Let's just have the best time of our life. Let's do our mission. Let's do it, and let's just have memories forever.
Yeah.
Let's take a lot of pictures and enjoy them for our life, and let's story for our grandchild if we ever get to that age.
You know what's funny? You bring up pictures. I stopped taking pictures sometime around 2011. I stopped. Like I think when you first worked with me, we would travel. I would carry that whole camera, lenses, the whole nine. When I got that great shark picture where I came off of South Africa, where I pulled that with Piscatelli, but I realized, or I felt like at some point I wasn't I wasn't experiencing it. It was all starting to be through a lens. So I stopped it and I was like, look, the phone, if I really need to take one, I'm going to take one, but I'm going to start really just concentrating and watching it. And it came from, I was out in Turkmenistan and we were by the door of hell, like this big fire, this crater of fire. And we were dropping a guy named George Cronus right into the middle of it, filming it and stuff, National Geographic. And one night, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and all of the American, Canadian guys are outside. And we're passing around a bottle of Johnny Walker. And there's a guy, a Turkmenistan guy who's like a PA, and he starts playing his guitar. This guy doesn't speak a single word of English, but he starts playing Hotel California. And from learning it and just learning it from hearing it, he starts singing what he thinks are the words. And it's the most amazing thing ever. And I turn, and this executive producer is starting to pull out his phone to try to film it. And I just smacked it right out of his hands. And I'm like,
Don't kill the moment.
this is the moment. This isn't for anybody else. Here, have a drink and shut up. But I remember I needed to stop because I was leaning into it too much.
It's one of my biggest pet peeve is going to a concert and a person asking me, "Can you videotape this for me?" I'm like, "Hell no. I'm here for the moment. If
Yeah.
I wanted to videotape this, I'll just watch it at home."
Yeah.
You know? That's it.
Exactly.
Don't
Yeah.
ask me to take a camera in a concert or anything like that. I can't. It's like I'm here for this moment. I'm gonna experience it. I want my eyes to be the camera. I want my eyes to roll at 24 frames per second
Yeah.
and just enjoy it.
Do
And
you
that's
think that has changed even what you and I are now having to shoot, or now what you and I are having to go out and get jobs for?
yes. Um you know, we are in a shift right now. You know, we're in a
Yes.
shift of what's going to happen in a couple of years with actors, what's going to happen with cameras. Um, I know it's in our power, and especially producers and people behind the below the line, you know, the above the line. I'm sorry, the above the lines. They should understand that the more you um, bring up the newer technology of the smaller, you're killing a business.
Yeah.
You know, you're killing a business. You're killing a passion. Yes, okay, fine, perfect. You have that iPhone that can shoot a movie. You know, trust me, I shoot stuff with it for my kids and stuff like that. And and I tell people like as a cameraman, photographer, if you just need a camera, you're gonna make a picture look great. You know, and yes, it can look great and amazing, but at the same time, you're killing an industry. You're killing industry, and you're giving a little bit too much to something that has a lot of people that they need to feed their families, and a lot of people that have a life because of what they love. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
You've
so
you've done a couple of reality shows, a couple of like, doc follows or whatever.
mhm.
There's one show on your resume or on your list of stuff that I it's the most
All right.
disgusting
All right,
sounding show.
I
And
know
I'm
what you're
like,
gonna talk
tell
about.
me, did the pimple popper? What- Tell me about Dr. Pimple Popper.
I so I got involved with Dr. Pimple Popper, great production. I loved it, but I became the
Dr. Pimple Popper.
Dr. Pimple Popper. Yeah, Doctor. I never met her because
Okay.
I was the package DP.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
I was the one who would go to the intro package and then maybe the out package. You know,
Yep.
pre and after surgery. You know,
Yep.
so but I can tell you something. I am very thankful for that show and the people that worked on that show and everybody that trusted me and gave me the love because that was the first show that I got hired during the pandemic, you
Nice.
know? And I I was so happy because I remember it was end of September, October that I applied for that job here and it was in San Agustin, Florida. And I was gonna go do this package for somebody for the show in somebody's house. And I remember that after that, I kept getting higher, and I end up working with them from 2020 to 2023. You know,
Nice.
even when I was in Texas, because I moved to Texas for a year because I got to DP a show for A&E that
Mhm.
ended up getting canceled. But even at the minute that I felt myself that okay, what am I gonna do now when I move my whole entire family to Texas? This was a mistake. What am I gonna do? I don't know nobody here. You know, the anxiety came in like, oh my god, I had an egg working Orlando for 20 years. You know, man, just one phone call. Hey, I'm in Texas. If you guys need anything, you know, boom. The next couple of weeks, man. Hey, right on.
Nice.
Fly me over. Get this. You know, go to multiple cities. You know, we're coming back. You know, so that show I felt it because I've always loved medicine, you
Yeah.
know, too. And that show gave me a perspective to work with all these people that have this not diseases, but some of them were diseases, but you know, anything things that can happen to anybody. A pimple can grow, a pimple can go damaged, a pimple can go an extreme, somewhere not pimples, somewhere very tumors, you know,
Yeah.
that they might have a big cancer on that. But it was great to shoot the beginning of it and then the after and see how their life changes thanks to Dr. Lee, you know. I
Nice.
never met her before, but everybody she's a beautiful person, you know.
What do you look back on as one of your favorite moments to just you and the crew having a beer or having a cocktail somewhere?
It was in Dominica and we were shooting in Dominica and the whole crew we were in a how would you call that? It was a kind of like reggae camp, you know? Kind of like but kind of like Marley style reggae camp, you know?
Okay.
I forgot how they called them, but it was great to what's the religion? What's the name?
Rasta?
Rasta camp. Yes,
Rasta.
Rasta.
Okay.
We were camping nearby a Rasta camp, you know, and very humble. And the people offer us food, us, smoke, offer us anything, drinks and all that. And all the gentlemen there, they were super, super Rasta people, and they all had the dreadlocks that all the way to the bottom of their feet. But the spiritually and the greatness of just listening to all these people talk, and just being there for hours, just passing it around and hanging out and listening to stories of all these humble people and beautiful souls, that was one I can still remember that day like it's right now,
Yeah.
and with the music in the background and their stories, it just makes the perfect time,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh,
But also like just any campfire that we've been to in the middle of nowhere, or any like parking lot that we sat down after the shoot, or any restaurant that we just go deep in after a great day or a rap party,
yeah.
it's just your crew is your crew, and the people that you work with are your best friends in that minute. And no matter what, you're just having fun,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
enjoying the time with all these amazing people that we get to work with.
Yeah.
And we know that the next day, one of the sad moments in every job that I do is the last day, because you spend so much time with these people that they just all become family at 1 minute, and then the next day they're all gone. I think we all go through that little separation anxiety when we spend so many months with like the same people,
Yeah. Oh,
that
yeah.
that when we get back home things are different.
I stopped traveling with crew basically for that reason, is because as you're leaving, you might not see him again for a while. You might be booked on the next crew and you might see him in a week in a different country, but you might not see him for a while. So what happens, especially when you start, like, you hit the airport and you got like a 48-hour ride home, and all of a sudden you're going to duty free, you're cracking bottles of scotch, you're drinking
Yep.
at the airport bar. You're so hammered getting on and off these planes and on these things. Like, I've got whole plane rides I can't even remember from just going. And it was like, I can't travel home with the crew because that 48-hour goodbye is just a drunk fest. Like,
Yeah, I
I'd
know.
rather just drink the night before and then send everybody on their way and then let them do it. And then I'll leave 12 hours later or something so that I don't have to. But that travel home goodbye just turns into a shit show of alcohol.
I remember going to Tasmania,
Oh,
and I
Tasmania was
remember
good.
Greiber and I,
Riber.
we were at the back of the airplane, and we're traveling the big Australian airline Qantas,
That's right.
and guess what? I said, hey, can I get another drink? And the lady was like, oh, we had the back of the plane is basically an area, a commune area, and there's the bar and everything. You just can go and grab whatever you want. I'm like, what? So that was your mistake, lady. Me and Greiber, we hang out back there the entire trip, bro. I don't know how many Victorian beavers we drank.
Damn. He's another guy that used to party. Do you want to hear the weirdest thing that happened to me in Tasmania? Right before, when you were probably flying in, right when you were probably getting drunk on that damn Qantas thing, I was doing a scout, right? And
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you remember the guy. We were staying in that hut where all the Tasmanian devils were and whatever.
Don't give the hand to the guy. Did he pick up the roadkill or the roadkill?
How bad he smelled, but he would pick up all the roadkill, right? And I was like, don't touch him. But the funniest one is we're driving, and all of a sudden the whole car just swerves, and all I hear is boom, boom. And I'm like, what? He goes, and he gets out of the car and he grabs this rabbit, and I go, oh, was that for the Tasmanian devils too? Because up until now I just see him pulling off
Yeah.
all this roadkill. He goes, oh no, that's for me and my wife for dinner. He literally ran over a rabbit with his car, threw it in the back, and threw it to his wife. I'm like, wow, we are.
I remember when I get there, first thing you guys said, and I think it was Piscotelli was there too, right?
That's right. Yes.
When I go Piscotelli, they say, if you guys see this guy, just say hi.
Yeah.
Don't shake his hand. And here it comes. I'm like, hey, how you doing, man? Where?
he would pick up shit. There'd be maggots on it. This thing would be just dead as just cover it, and he'd grab and throw them because he'd throw them right out in the field, and that's when all the Tasmanian devils would come in and eat it. And then we were in that hut. You know what? You know what was really cool? Forget all the remember all the wallabies. The wallabies, there was like
Yes,
1,000 of those kangaroo looking things.
they taste good too.
But you're right, and we had to braise it because they were fatty, so you had to braise it down.
Yeah.
But do you remember the I probably weren't supposed to, this was probably illegal as shit, but when we went and got all that abalone, and we got all that, and we were cracking over the abalone from the sea and eating all that. Do you remember how good that was?
That was. I remember I did not want to eat it, and somebody said just taste it.
Just taste it.
And when I put it in my mouth, it was like filet mignon.
Fresh out right from the sea. And basically we're there, and the next stop is Antarctica, like down there. And we're that was a good one.
I love showing pictures to people whatever abalone looks like.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh,
Because
kind of gross looking.
It is.
That was
Yeah.
that. I remember that. I remember walking in because as a producer, that was one of those ones where, thank God, I ended up bringing tent. Actually, we ended up having to go buy a bunch of those tents and everything because when we didn't scout, and the powers that be told us, they're like, oh, they have a house right there in the area, so you guys will all just live in the house. It'll be on the water, and then they'll survive out where they need to survive, right? And go from there. We get out there, and it was like it was like, this isn't a house, this is a shed.
Yeah. I remember, the terrain, all the cows, there was pasture everywhere, the smell of cows. I was like, oh man, I feel like I'm back in Florida, bro. Oh.
What I said is it looked like cow country, like some
Yeah.
like Indiana cow country with huge rocks from Mars dropped in the middle of nowhere. Like you'd be like farmland, and then this mountainous like rock that looked like it was from Mars right in the middle of the property. And then you're like, what is that? Like I remember it just being like, oh yeah, this could be anywhere. And then there was these formations that were like, what is that? Oh,
And you remember the lunch too that we always had? The local sandwiches. It was like the egg sandwich.
that's right. Yeah, I do
Yeah.
remember that because they were up from that little river, not
Yeah.
far from Arthur River or whatever it was.
From a lady, the local lady.
Yeah.
I always love that.
Yeah.
I love how a production company goes to like small towns that we live, and we help the local economy. That's something beautiful. I remember in Mexico that you
Do you remember
that
the
you
donkey coming up?
yes, yes. But I remember that you like, hey guys, I got it. I was like, you are what? We're not eating these MREs anymore. I got the local lady to cook for us. And you went out and you bought a bunch of food for her, and she was cooking for us. And at the end of the day, man, like we were having the best Mexican food ever, man.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I do. So it was what you're talking about, like just coming up with a producing scenario. We brought all these MREs in, we're in the middle of nowhere. Bring in, like, you can't cater it. You can't, the hotel was 2.5 hours away. You remember they stole our gas truck. They ended up, when we're doing the helicopters, like it was, it was horrible. But I was like, what are we gonna do? And when we went into scout, I went into this house, and again, the whole place is just cinder blocks, very poor. And this lady was like, they were like, oh, he makes everything on TV. It's like, no, he makes TV. But to them, it was so exciting. So they asked to make me lunch. So I just, they had no money, they had no anything. So I just thought it would be smart. I paid them like a year's worth of money. Like that town, I don't know if you noticed. That's why. Do you remember when they all came to that meeting, and they were threatening me? They wanted me to like buy them all Jeeps, and they wanted me to like
Yes.
do it. And the one guy had a knife, and I had to like stand up and kind of go nuts. But it was because I had given that lady so much money, the whole town just wanted to get paid.
You brought the economy for
That's
the town.
you live and learn. Like I learned
Yeah.
that just traveling like South America. I learned that hiking into Machu Picchu. They would say like, don't tip your porter. Like if you give him $10, right?
Yeah.
That's more money than he's going to make all summer. And if you give him that $10, he's going to leave your bag right where it is, and he's going home. He's done. He's done for the summer, and you're going to be stuck in the middle of this mountain carrying your own shit. And you're like, so.
And that is something that you learn where you travel.
Yeah.
Because it's like these people are not used to that.
No, There's
you
some
know. But
people that see it as like, we obviously give it as a sign of gratitude and thanks and things like that. And there's a lot of countries that see you giving it as a sign of weakness and a
exactly,
sign of
yeah,
like you got, oh well, then if you're giving that away, you'll give everything away. And not in a bad way, not in a way where they're like trying to rob you, but it's
yeah,
like it's the game. It's like, oh, if you've got money coming in here, it's like anything else. We're gonna take your money. You know
yeah.
what I mean? You want to shoot here, this is where we're from. So
And
I
you know,
understood it.
it's not every territory is friendly.
No.
There's a lot of territories that are at war, guerrillas. A lot of territories that they have comeback songs. And they don't allow people from other countries there. So
And,
and it's something normal in any country.
yeah,
Uh,
and
especially when there's like regions that you don't even know who governs there. So
I
it's all
found
about
that
learning and getting educated.
with, the Survivor shows. I felt like a lot of times going in as a Survivor show, you're going into an area that we're shooting in, and I think everybody knows at this point we're not looking to kill anybody. Now we're definitely in areas that are not safe, or you know what I mean. It's not an easy night out, but to some of the locals of where we are, this is no more than their local fishing hole. Like, this guy lives in a community in this jungle. Like he's not he's scared of the grocery store. He doesn't like it in town.
Hmm.
Like they're out here. So when you go out and you're hiring these people or you're working with them and you're like, "Hey, we're surviving." And they're like just looking at you,
Yeah,
shaking your head. You're like, "Surviving? Is that what you're doing? You sure you're surviving? Is that what you're doing?"
that's a whole different podcast, bro.
Yeah. You're like, because it looks like there's a lot of food. There's a banana tree right there. There's a coconut tree right there. The river's right there. It looks like you're
Yeah,
doing okay.
anything that life brings you over. But then
Right?
that's how you make it appreciate. Because I remember when I was in Dominica. I said, man, if the world comes to an end, this is where I'm coming. Because anywhere I put my foot in that island, there was breadfruit, mangoes,
Oh,
papayas, plantains. It was like food everywhere.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's like, is this all for grabs? Who owns this? Then no, it's for grabs.
I'll tell you I learned something about that, like just as a human being. I remember
Hmm.
like, I always look back on a lesson that I learned on the job or something like that. And I was able to then apply it in life. And and again, it's weird to say it, but once you see it and once you see it happen, it was something that just clicked. But we were in the Aitutaki, and we'd been
Mm.
driving a couple of times, and sometimes you just see somebody grab a chicken from the side of the road and keep driving. And they're like,
Dinner.
yeah, they're getting dinner, and you're like, okay. But do you remember that guy, Ron Henry, the guy that was like kind of helping us out? He was the guy that cut the coconuts with the
Yes.
machetes. He was always out
Uh huh.
there. They were all named Henry. But we were at his house packing up and getting ready. We're about 2 days away from going in to drop off. So the next day we were going to do that whole load out and all of that stuff.
Hmm.
So I'm at his place and it's just me and him, and we're getting all this stuff loaded, the MREs, all of this stuff, getting ready to get to the boat and go down. And as we're sitting in his yard, like, it's fenced off, there's a yard. Um, uh, this guy comes walking out of the house next door and he starts walking to it. And he comes right in and he starts walking through the gate, and him and Ron just lock eyes, and you can see they hate each other. And they're just looking, and the guy's looking at him and they're not saying anything. And he walks over and he picks a mango off this one tree and they're staring at each other. And he walks over here and Ron's got that cashew tree, right? And he pulls down like two of those cashew fruits and he looks at each other and he
Yeah.
walks right out. They didn't say a word. And he walks right back into the house next door. I go, it was like two alley cats. I go, what the fuck was
Yeah.
that? And he goes, I guys lived here my whole life. Like since we were like, they're both 50 years old. They're in their 50s. And he's
Hmm.
like, yeah, we hate each other. We haven't talked since we were 2 years old. I'm like, he just walked into your yard and took mangoes and cashews from your trees and you didn't say anything. And he looked at me like I had 20 heads. And he goes, those aren't my trees. Those are God's trees. Why would I tell a human being not to eat? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And you're like they were going to stab each other, but it's like, you don't get in the way of somebody eating. You
Yeah.
don't. you know, and I remember that lesson all the time. I was like,
That's
you gotta just bring it back and remember everybody's a person.
quick story. I when I was in Costa Rica for that long, there was a family that I always drove to go back to her hotel. I always drove we always drove through the house. And in that house, it was just a shed and no floor, no nothing, just dirt. And there was always a lot of kids playing there. And it looks like they live with grandma and grandpa. So one day we were shooting in the little town, and I said to the driver, I said, "Hey, pass me through the supermarket." And I went in, I bought a bunch of meat, I bought a 20 pounds of rice, and a bunch of other things. And then I drove by, and we were in a caravan, and I told the guy stop, so everybody behind me stopped. The whole crew stopped, and they saw me what I did. Best part of it, that I walked in and I gave all these people all this food, and I just did it because I felt like it, brother. The crew started doing it too, you know. So that's something that for me it
Nice.
was like I just want to do it. That's it. The greatest part of everything is that we, by doing it, we get to change somebody's perspective about other cultures, and also we get to maybe change somebody's life or give a memory to that kid, to that woman about like, wow, I remember that guy. You know?
Survivor, I don't think Survivor, the TV show, gets enough credit for that, but they would pick up locals in every place they went that would then travel with them for 20 years.
Yes.
They'd pick
Yep.
up a chef, season 3 off an
Mm-hmm.
island, and then that chef would be with them for the
Yeah.
next 20 years in every place. Like, they would pick up people and take them around who usually wouldn't get an opportunity or get a shot to do some of that stuff, and they
And
got to
and
do
and a lot
everything.
of opportunities to camera guys from other countries. I
Yes.
have I have two friends from
South
Dominica.
Africa.
Yeah, in South Africa. But I got two friends from Dominica that they have a career life in Survivor, and they were ACs. I think they were I don't know if they were
Fantastic.
PAs,
Yeah.
and then they were ACs, but now they're shooters. One is a shooter, and the other one is an audio guy.
I've heard some wild stories about that
Yeah,
series.
and it's fantastic how like have opened all these opportunities to people from other countries to like
They've
work
they
in American shows.
they've taken a lot of heat from what they've done or how they've done it, but the amount of crew that they have employed and let
Yeah,
see the world on that stuff and done it in an incredible way, I don't think they get the credit a lot of times that they should.
yeah,
And that Mark Burnett company, with not only obviously they're getting the credit for helping start the genre, but I don't
hmm
think they people really understand what they've given to those crews and what those crews have been able to learn and be a
yeah,
part of in us. And again, not even the audiences have been able to be a part of it, but to be one of the crew members that were able to jump on that train and go to that circus is badass.
yeah. And the economic impact that creates in that country, like for good of the people. I remember what I was at Adrenaline, and Mike Murray was my boss, and he was out in Panama, and he gives me a call. Hey, you got a passport? And I said, yeah. I was first year of me working at Adrenaline. I said, yeah. He's like, well, okay. Grab the HD camera and bring it over to Panama. I'll send you. They will send you a ticket to today, but I need you tomorrow here. I'm like, okay. So I grabbed the F900. You know, and I still believe, I don't know if it's true, but I think that was the first time Survivor had an HD camera, and he wanted it for testing. And it was the F900 HD cam,
Nice.
and and I remember me walking with the HD camera, man.
Like, you were
And I was like
badass.
22-year-old Juan walking on the Survivor set for the first time, you know,
Nice.
getting out of this boat that almost died in it in the island of Contadora, Panama, you know, bringing the HD camera for the DPO Survivor. Here you go, man. Are you gonna go to dinner with me? No, I'm just gonna walk around town. And I remember I started walking in town, and it got dark, and I didn't know where I was going, and I heard all these people behind me, and I was like, all right, here we go. What's up with this? It was all the boat drivers from the Survivor, that they were all local Panamanian guys.
Oh, okay.
and they saw me. They're like, "Hey, man, you okay?" I said, "Yeah, man. I just don't know where I'm going. I'm looking for the little town." He's like, "Oh no, keep going." I said, "What are you doing?" And I speak Spanish, so I started speaking Spanish with them, and they were like, "Oh, you from Florida?" I said, "Yeah, yeah." He's like, "Well, if you don't got anything to do, because we're out there, so while they doing their things, we're fishing all day long." And we brought all this fish to this local lady, and she's frying them with like plantains and all that. Come over, have dinner with us, full strangers.
How
You know,
badass was that dinner?
It- I end up I end up going to my room at 4 a.m. You know, to wake up the next day at like probably 6 a.m. so I can grab the other boat and go back to. And they didn't want to keep me in the island because there was gonna be bad weather.
Uh-huh.
So if they kept me in the island, that means I couldn't return back to the town for another day or two, and I
Yeah.
needed to get back, back to Panama City. But man, I tell you something, we drank all the beer in that cooler, and we ate all the fish, and we all the plantain, and and that night, talking to all these strangers, nobody knew me, I didn't know them, but it was just one of the best times ever. And this is
That's
this is
it.
what this
That's
is like.
what
This is 19, 18 years ago, and I still remember that. Like I just lived there yesterday.
So, Juan, thank you so much for today. Thank you for sharing those stories. Thank you for being a part of it. When are you coming back on for part 2?
Anytime you want me to do it, man.